What's up, everyone? In today's video, I want to talk about how you can answer the question, what would your coworkers say about you? So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the first thing you need to understand is why do people even want to ask this question? And the reason is quite straightforward. In fact, it's that they want to understand your self-awareness. They want to understand, do you know what's going on around you? Do you know what people think about you? And can you speak to that and how you reacted to that? This is quite similar to tell me about a time you work in a team, but it's more about the dynamics of working with people rather than simply just, being a piece of the bigger puzzle. It's more like, how do you fit with others? And are you aware of how you fit with others? And so that's why it's important to really reflect that you have this self-awareness of how team dynamics works. Now, the second thing that you need to do is think about some genuine feedback that you've received in the past, because at the end of the day, they want to test for self-awareness. And a key part of self-awareness is authenticity and being able to speak about it. Because oftentimes self-awareness and authenticity go hand in hand, especially in a workplace where people want to decide whether you're someone they like to work with. And that's why it's important to show this self-awareness along with the authenticity. And that's why it's important to draw on past feedback that is real and just talk about it, right? And it's also quite similar to the question, tell me about your greatest weakness. And I've answered that in the past, so check it out in the cards above. And so for the type of feedback that you can be pulling from, you can pull from past team meetings, performance reviews, informal meetings, really anything goes here, because at the end of the day, it's how you fit with others. And oftentimes these performance reviews, the feedback is very helpful, but sometimes it's less relevant than what's actually happening on the ground and how you fit with others. So it's important to really draw from both of them to see, hey, which are the best ones to really pull from. But at the end of the day, what you really want to show is that you have weaknesses and limitations just like everyone else. You've heard it from your teammates or from other people, either formally or informally, and that you've put in the work to really close that gap and make it better. And the reason why we're taking this kind of weakness and rectification approach is because it shows you're authentic, you're willing to be vulnerable, and therefore you're trustworthy and you're self-aware, right? These are all pieces that's part of this authenticity and trust component of this interview process. Like, can they trust you, right? Bottom line, if they don't trust you, they don't want to hire you. Now, the third thing you need to understand is that you don't only want to talk about the bad things, you also want to talk about the good things. So this is where it's different from the greatest weakness question. This is where you talk about how you have several core qualities that are really a great fit for the role. So this role requires a lot of attention to detail. You want to be giving examples of coworkers saying that you pay a lot of attention to details. If this role requires a lot of thinking on your feet, you want to show that as well. However, you need to also be willing to show one weakness, one thing that your coworkers say about you and that you're able to rectify and adjust. Because like I said, the point of this question is to demonstrate self-awareness. And anyone who's self-aware also can speak to their weaknesses and limitations. So you can't only talk about your strengths, you also need to talk a little bit about your weaknesses, because that comes across as inauthentic if you only talk about the good things about yourself. And make sure when you talk about these examples to back it up with concrete examples. Now, the fourth thing you need to do is to keep the tone professional, because at the end of the day, once you're talking about weaknesses and strengths, you don't want to steer into one end where it's like you're tooting your own horn and you're just singing praises about yourself, how awesome you are. Or you don't want to go into overly self-deprecating conversations where it's like, yeah, I'm pretty trash at this. Like, you don't want to, go into that territory. You want to keep it professional. You also don't want to get negative, because when you're talking about what other people think about you, it can bring up a lot of negative emotion and negative memories from the past, and you start talking poorly about your previous coworkers or your previous employer. You just want to avoid all that negativity. You want to bring positivity to the interview. So you want to balance confidence with humility in a very professional manner. The fifth and final thing that you want to do is connect it to the culture of the company that you're interviewing for. And you want to explain how the traits that you talked about are related to the core requirements of the job. Remember, you want to tie it to the core requirements and not the nice to haves, because at the end of the day, it's the core requirements that gets you hired. And if you've got some extra time to spare to take care of the nice to haves, go ahead and do that too. But I typically recommend 2 to 3 minutes for every interview question to keep it short and tight and compact so that it's all killer, no filler. The other thing you really want to make sure you take care of is showing how everything you've talked about is going to be a good fit for the company culture. So make sure you connect that as well. So the role and responsibility and the company culture. These are the two things that you need to make sure these examples are at the end when you're tying that knot in this question, that you make these connections. That's it. Those are the 5 things that you're going to take care of when you're answering this question. Hope it was helpful. Please let me know in comments below what you think about it. And if you like this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, follow, wherever you are. Take care, everyone.